They wanted to start a European night bus with seats that go fully flat like business class on an airliner. But they hired the wrong people. This is my experience with Twiliner. It's a Swiss startup that aims to compete with European sleeper trains on long-distance routes. I rode the Twiliner bus from Basel, Switzerland to Brussels in Belgium for the first and most likely the last time today on Markus Travels. This is not an easy video to make. I'm going to start by talking about the product and the normal aspects of it that I experienced. Then I'm going to talk about the harassment by the putative employees of Twiliner. There are chapter markings on the timeline. I paid for this trip myself so that you get a non-sponsored and authentic travel review, and rarely has that been more important than in a situation like this. Welcome to my channel, Markus Travels. Basel doesn't really have a bus station per se. For the longest time, it was just a barely marked spot on one of the streets behind the Basel SBB train station. But they are in the process of improving the bus experience to a slightly more barely marked location. I'm actually happy that I went out looking for it during daylight hours. I'm not sure if I would have been able to navigate here correctly in the dark. This sign here inside the Basel SBB train station indicates that you should keep right and then go down the ramp. And this is good advice if you have luggage, but if you're able to use stairs, there is a new shortcut to the left-hand side instead. This set of stairs is just opposite the Lollipop store. I think this is brand new and part of the big renovation that they're doing all around the Basel SBB train station. To get to the bus station, both what will be the permanent one and also now the temporary one, just follow the direction down from these stairs. It's a couple of minutes walk to the temporary position. When you reach this funky skate park, you know that you're in the right place. I arrived at the bus about an hour prior to the 11 p.m. departure. The Twiliner bus was already there. Travel asleep across Europe. It's a strong brand promise. Also, the logo is pretty, and the rear door looks inviting. You could already see it from the outside. There's a snack bar here by the staircase. We'll have a closer look at that later on. Here's a first look at the cabin and my seat number 4. And then we're off. We're leaving Basel. The departure was actually ahead of schedule. That's because everybody who was booked on this particular route had already entered the bus and we could go. We passed by Kannenfeldplatz, where you can grab a bus to the airport. Then we cross the French border, and then we can see the Basel Euro Airport in the distance. That airport is actually physically entirely located in France, but it serves Basel, Switzerland as well. Waiting on each seat is a bag that contains a blanket, a pillowcase, and a sheet. Getting the pillow into the pillowcase while holding a camera in one hand was not really possible. I would need a third hand to do that. I placed the sheet on the seat under the neck rest pillow. I'm not sure if that is how this was designed, but it kind of worked. I didn't find any instructions on how this was supposed to be done, and the crew members did not volunteer to tell me about it. There were also no announcements. That was a bit surprising. You cannot expect the passengers to know the design of a brand new product. In bed mode, the seat goes completely flat. From a physical perspective, this was really comfortable. From an emotional perspective, and why I did not in fact feel comfortable sleeping here, we'll come to that. The controls for the seat recline are really good. There are 2 sets of buttons. The top row of buttons, they start and stop the entire movement of the mechanism. So you just have to press the button once and then it goes completely flat or completely into the seating mode. You do not have to hold down the button, and that is good design. The second row of buttons is for fine tuning. There you do have to hold down the button. The seat has a USB power outlet. It is exposed if you press this round unit here. There is a seat belt that works normally while you're seated. It just goes across your lap. In bed mode, you put the seat belt across your upper thighs. This is a seat belt with tension, like in a car. It's not like a seat belt on an airliner. That means that while you're lying down, It does squeeze your thighs together, and as a male, that was mildly uncomfortable. A better solution would have been a 3-point seatbelt. Imagine, for example, that there is a collision. This seatbelt is not going to stop you from flying forward and into the seat in front. A 3-point seatbelt would. That's why they have them in cars. There are 2 additional seatbelt buckles, one on each side. I don't know what you're supposed to insert there. There's a table stored in the armrest on my left. If you open the latch, it comes out partly. Then you just pull it out, and you manually mount it to the mounting points on the armrests. The storage shelf is very small. I just put my coat up there because I didn't find any coat hooks in these seats. In fact, it was difficult to find anything because they kept the lights low. They only used this dim blue hue that you can see in these clips. I wish they would have turned up the lights, at least when we were stopped in Basel and people were boarding. It was really difficult to find your way in this darkness. At the end of the day, I had to use the flashlight on my phone, and I saw other passengers doing this as well. This aspect of the boarding process could be improved. There are 2 reading lights above my seat, but those are impossible to see with the night lights. They don't have any kind of markings, any kind of glow, so if you don't know they're there, you're not going to find them. I tried to take some photos to illustrate this, but with the low light conditions, it is not so easy. Once again, my phone flashlight was necessary, but that kind of defeats the purpose of having reading lights. That overhead panel contains a number of different buttons. There's 2 light buttons, then there's a service button, and then there's a 3rd button that I don't remember what it does. And I also did not find any instructions to enlighten me. As mentioned, there were no announcements. The space up here on the top floor of the bus is not tall enough to stand up straight. Luckily, the ceiling is padded for when you inevitably hit your head. The snack bar downstairs works on the honor system. You can pay by scanning the QR code, which is printed on the information leaflet that was in the bag. They have dry snacks in the shelf, as well as some selected toiletries. In the fridge, there are cold drinks, and then there is a coffee machine as well. I don't know if any of the snacks or drinks were available free of charge. As mentioned, nobody in the crew gave any kind of introduction to how things work, and as mentioned, there were no announcements whatsoever during the entire trip. Not even when we arrived in Brussels. The bus just kind of stopped, and we had to figure out that, okay, this is probably where we need to exit the bus. For connectivity and entertainment, there is free Wi-Fi for everyone. The bus has both a lavatory and a changing room. The changing room was nice. There was a place to sit and a place to wash your hands. It does make sense to have a changing room on a night bus if you trust the crew enough to sleep on there. Given the situation on the bus, I slept with my clothes and my shoes on, just in case I would need to either defend myself or evacuate the bus. The lavatory is in theory well designed, but unlike the changing room, the paper towel dispenser remained empty through the entire trip. There were 2 cloth towels on the sink there, but for the handful of passengers we had on board, that's obviously not enough. Not everybody would be comfortable sharing cloth towels with strangers. During the night, the lavatory also ran out of toilet paper. It seemed like there was no process for the crew to fill it. The doors to both the changing room and the lavatory were difficult to open. And that's because this handle is very nice and polished, but it is difficult to grab onto. If you push the handle down and push the door, that works. But when you need to pull the door, because there's no grip on this handle, it was actually not so easy to close the door by pulling it. This door handle is form over function. We arrived at the Brussels North station before 5:30 a.m. One of the challenges of night buses and night trains for that matter too, is that when you arrive, you cannot usually immediately check into your hotel. And also the Brussels North station is not really a place where you want to spend any time at 5:30 a.m. I ended up going for breakfast at the Hotel Indigo Brussels City, and that was actually really nice. And then I spent some time wandering the streets of my old neighborhood. I actually lived in Brussels many years ago. Before we come to the major issues we faced, let's talk about the price. I paid 169 Swiss francs for this one-way trip from Basel to Brussels. That price included a reserved seat as well as a checked bag. At no point did any crew member ask me if I wanted to place my backpack in the hold, so I just ended up placing it on the floor in front of me. This actually turned out to be a good idea in case a quick escape would be necessary. So why am I talking about that? Well, there was a safety issue on board. Among the passengers, there were two gentlemen wearing bus driver uniforms. It appeared as though they were off-duty Twiliner bus drivers. They talked about how in the near future they would operate the buses to Barcelona, and they were keen on getting positive feedback for Twiliner. Of course, I don't know if they were Twiliner employees or contractors or candidates to be employees, but they certainly acted as if they were representing the company. For example, they welcomed me on board and walked me through some of the features on the bus. One of the gentlemen did not bother me, and I will only speak here about my own personal experience. Other passengers may have had other experiences. The other guy among those two bus drivers, however, was the problem. He appeared drunk, and he kept trying to engage me in conversation, even though I indicated very clearly that I was not interested in talking anymore. The topics he mentioned were not appropriate, and he kept coming back to the same topics 5-6 times. I tried a few times to be a bit more assertive and say, let's end the conversation right now, and things like, I just want to rest. But it is difficult to get through to a drunk person. This person also engaged in unwanted conversations with passengers that were lying down. That puts the passengers in a vulnerable position, both physically but also from a power dynamic perspective. Had this been an airline, any passenger that was this drunk and this abusive would have been kicked off the plane immediately, whether or not they were off-duty crew. On this trip, one of the on-duty drivers told this gentleman to stop harassing the passengers. This had the opposite effect. I have detailed notes about all of these conversations, but in this video, I'm just going to give you the conclusion. I did not feel safe on board with what I believe was a drunk Twiliner employee. As a result, I did not sleep for maybe more than an hour, and that defeats the purpose of having a night bus with lie flat seats. I have reached out to Twiliner for a comment. If I receive a response, then I will insert it here. And now we're back in the dark studio. I did get a reply from Twiliner's media team within just a couple of hours of sending my email to them, so that worked well. I'm just going to put the screenshot here so you can read through the entire statement. I am glad to know that those two individuals were not employees of Twiliner and that they were just considering them. And I think based on this experience, they should no longer consider them to be potential drivers for the company. I also appreciate that they refunded all the tickets. My refund hit my credit card statement already on the same day, so that worked well. Overall, in terms of a response, I think this is the best that Twiliner could have done, and I do hope that they're able to secure more professional drivers in the future. While producing the video, I also realized an oversight from my part. On that information leaflet that was in the bag, there was a QR code to the snack bar, like I mentioned, but I saw that they also had a QR code for like an information center webpage. And on that webpage, you could indeed learn more about how to set up the seat and other features of the bus. Now, my point still stands. It would have been nice if there would have been an announcement for all the passengers, please scan that QR code to learn more. Once you scan the code, there are instructions in both text and in video. So Twiliner did put in the effort to try to explain these exotic features. But at the same time, I feel that if your product, let's say the seat, for example, if it requires an instructional video to use, then it's not that well designed. I have sat on dozens of different seats on buses, planes, and trains, and none of them has required an instructional video. Still, it's nice that they have them. I do also wonder, how would you access that information if you didn't have a mobile phone with you? And with that addendum, back to your regularly scheduled video review right here on Markus Travels. I told you this would not be an easy video to make. Here is addendum number 2. I sent a draft version of this video to Twiliner last night, and today I got an email response from the CEO, plus he also called me and we had a long conversation. 3 quick points. Number 1, of course, he apologized profusely for the experience that I had on board. Number 2, he acknowledged some of the points for improvement that I had listed in my video as something that they would have to work on. And number 3, he did not ask me to take down the video. And I think this shows a lot of integrity. Everything that I've seen from Twiliner after the trip has really given me the impression that they are trying their very best to build a great product. And it's not easy to build something in a category that hasn't previously existed, which is European long-distance night buses with lie-flat seats. Now, obviously, I did not have a great experience on my trip, but looking at how the product is designed, I think there is potential there. I'm going to defer judgment until I have an opportunity to try Twiliner again once they have fully developed the product. And now click right here for another business class bus. This one is a Norwegian bus that runs to the airport in Stockholm. Thank you for watching Markus Travels, and I will see you in the next video.